Hello, my friends, and welcome to a brand new episode of Discourse in Magic. My name is Jonah Babins, and today we are talking about FISM, which just happened, FISM 2025, and I wanted to do a podcast with a debrief about this. I mean, usually I do interviews and I do solo business episodes, and I usually don't talk about magic conventions and what I like and what I don't like, but I thought that it would be useful to do this because I know that not a lot of people go to FISM, and it's quite a unique magic convention and magic competition, and I think there's some things about it that are particularly spectacular. There are things that are particularly annoying. There are things that happened this year and last year, I guess 3 years ago, that I wanted to talk about. And I just wanted to give a snapshot for what the at FISM looked like. So this is the good, the bad, and the ugly of FISM 2025. So first, I want to start with the good. It is really incredible to watch such amazing competitors. Now, not every competitor was amazing, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but the highest level of competitors is the kind of magic that is just absolutely mind-blowing. It is a thrill to see. It is incredibly high quality, and overall, the production value of the stages that those magicians are on are really made to make them look good, and they are made to put magic in an amazing light. And if you're a performer or you're a big fan of magic, you know the magicians are often performing in lots of different venues and environments, things that might not be built with magic in mind, but this, every single stage is built with magic in mind. So first is it is incredible to see the top level acts. The second thing is that, this is the highest production magic convention that exists. Higher production than Blackpool, than Magic Live, than Magi Fest. It is the highest production magic convention. Maybe I'm wrong about those numbers, but I don't think I am. I think there's more magicians than any convention, and you are just swarmed with so many magicians and so many different people from different walks of life that do different things with their magic. There's every kind of person there, and it's just a thrill to be surrounded by, like a regular convention, some of your friends, but more uniquely to this, people you've never even heard of on the other side of the world that are doing magic that you have never seen anything like in your life. And it was just a real pleasure to be hanging out with those people. So my two general goods to say before I get into some real specifics, my two general goods that I want to say is that the highest quality of performer was very high quality, or competitor rather. And the second is that there is nothing quite like it. Maybe Blackpool, but there's nothing quite like it to see so many magicians from so many places around the world speaking lots of different languages, doing lots of different magic and stuff that you've never seen. And if you've seen like magicians in your community, it often feels like a lot of people are doing the same stuff for the same style or something like that. And this really is not like that. Let me lean into a couple more goods before I talk about the bad and the ugly. So now I'm going to get real specific. This is maybe for people that have been there or who know the names, but couple highlights. Number one, Michael Bloke's act was absolutely brilliant. It was an act designed for magicians to love it. I don't want to expose what it is because I have a feeling you're going to see him at a bunch of magic conventions. He won an award for creativity, which was well deserved. Mind to Mind is, I believe, the best magic coding act I have ever seen in my life. So that was incredible to watch twice. And of course, they won for the category of mentalism. Billy's act that he did, Billy's from Vancouver, incredible magician. He won an award for invention, and he did an incredible job with what he invented. I don't want to expose what it is. I guess you can see a version of it on Fool Us, but the invention of what he did was really fantastic. Juan Klos did an amazing linking ring act. I mean, I hate the linking rings, and this was great. Morton Christensen, incredible act as usual. Won for Parlor. This is his second year in a row winning, which is no surprise. And just watching all of these top competitors in all of these categories, even Ibuki, who won the Grand Prix and won for Micro Magic, it was an incredible act. So all of this to say that the top level was phenomenal, but the best act that I saw at the entire convention was Leah Kyle. Leah Kyle is a quick change artist, and her act got an erupting standing ovation both times that she did it. It was perfectly choreographed. It was fantastic. So huge love to those people that I shouted out. There's a bunch more people that, deserves incredible shout outs, but those are the ones that really stuck out to me, and Leah Kyle was by far my favorite act that I've seen in a long, long time. Now we've talked about all of the good. Let's talk about some of the bad and the ugly. First thing I want to talk about is the competitions. Now, I was at FISM in Quebec City, and I was at, this FISM as well, and I tried to watch as much of the competitions as I could. In Quebec City, I actually watched more than I did here, but I kind of describe it as like when your dad catches you smoking cigarettes and makes you smoke the whole pack. Like, you watch enough magic that you're like, enough already. And it's not just the volume. I think that there must be different rules globally for who qualifies to compete, because I would say at the very least 3 out of every 4 acts are okay. Like, really nothing special, nothing particularly special. And these acts are like 8 minutes each, and they're like 4-hour blocks of watching all the close-up acts, and then a 4-hour block of watching all of the stage acts. So it's like 8 hours a day for 5 days, where 75% of the magic is okay. And this year they were announcing how proud they were to have more competitors than they've ever had before. And my hot take is to say that they should have another version of qualifiers, so that instead of having 150 people compete in close-up and 150 people compete in stage, which is 5 days worth of 4 hours each of stage and close-up of competitions, they should bring that down to a quarter and try to actually pick the top or the higher acts to compete, and not have to spend so much time and so much dollars on producing acts that are okay. And no hate to the acts, man. I think competing is incredible. Anybody who chooses to do this, it is a huge amount of work, but the way they do their scoring, there's a certain level of score where you are literally disqualified for not getting a score high enough in all of the different categories that the judges score. And a lot of people are disqualified. And I think that if your act is disqualify worthy in like earlier competition rounds, then you shouldn't be given a spot at FISM. There should be 20 competitors per category, not 50 or 60. It was just super, super draining. So it's hard to sit and watch all of the competitors back to back to back, because, again, only 3 out of 4, like 1 out of 4 is great, and you could watch 8 in a row where there was 1 that was good, and that's like 2.5 hours of your day just sitting in a giant theater watching act after act. So I do not envy the judges. My first sort of complaint is that there's way too many competitors and there's not enough qualification for the competitors. That is my bad number 1. Number 2, I want to talk about the gala shows. There were a couple of great, the opening night, which I actually didn't get a chance to catch because my flights got screwed, but I know who was in the opening act. People were buzzing about the opening night. It was amazing. You had On Friche and Laurent Perrin, and just incredible, incredible acts that have won, like Grand Prix winners from the past, and they did their acts, and they're stupendous. So big ups to that. Matt King's show was great. The closing night was great, but they had a bunch of big gala shows that were okay. Some magicians doing amazing stuff, and then some magicians doing like sort of what felt like standard things for a room full of thousands of magicians. So I just felt like they missed an opportunity in these gala shows to do something that was really incredible. And if I was designing a gala show, I would tell each magician exactly what they should be doing, like what trick from their act they should be doing to pick the things that are the most unique and that people haven't seen before. So just mini gripe is that I found the gala shows to be okay, and the Quebec City ones were fantastic, but these gala shows were okay. Okay, so we spoke about the competitions, we spoke about the gala show. My unique gripe is they picked a Grand Prix winner for stage, and it should have been Leah Kyle. And I don't know how these categories are judged exactly, but the way the room erupted every time Leah Kyle did her act, unmatched. I've never seen anything like it. And the fact that she didn't win was a huge, huge surprise. And Mind to Mind was also a phenomenal mentalism act. And I was just surprised that they didn't win. And the talk of the convention afterwards was a surprise that they didn't win. So I don't know if they've got a specific love for manipulation acts or something like that. I don't know. But it felt like the weirdest upset of the competition was that Leah Kyle didn't win. So that's a little tiny gripe. I want to talk about the online magic category. So this was the category that I was nominated for Podcast of the Year, which was very nice. At the end of the day, I did not win. But overall, first of all, let me give them some love and say that after the last FISM, I was chatting with some friends, and we all kind of said, you know, it's crazy that the place where most people watch magic and interact with magic in 2022 at the time, or 2023, is online, and there's no category for that. And that is completely insane. And then they made one, which is great, and they made categories for best magic podcast and best magic blog and newsletter and da-da-da. There was a lot of mayhem with the way that they did it. They told us that, you know, people voted and then the judges decided, but the judges just were hands off and they went with popular vote. And then for the actual magic videos that won, they were scored the same way that the FISM competition was scored. So like someone doing a stage manipulation act was scored the same way as someone doing a 90-second video. And watching the actual videos, like, I don't know, is the point of what makes a great online magic video things like magical atmosphere, or is it views or retention or, you know, I don't know, but putting magic in a good light? I'm not sure what it is, but it felt very strange that it was scored the same way as the competitions were scored. And again, a lot of people that I think should have won or placed didn't. So lots of love to FISM for actually doing an online magic category, and they also did a street magic category, which is great. But I think it really felt like people that were part of this area, the online magic and the online magic awards, even in the award ceremony, the winners were listed off in 30 seconds, and every other one, it was a huge, you know, commotion about who won. People were invited on stage, but not for the online magic category, and it was just sort of said very quickly, and then, you know, that was it, and moved on. So didn't feel like it was treated the way it should. It sort of felt like they half-assed adding the category to FISM. That being said, I hope I see more of it in the future. I think it's awesome, and I think you can really, just by listening to this podcast, you can watch how much of the world of magic right now is taking place online and on the internet. So that was another thing that I had some gripes about, but overall happy that they made the category, but I wish they would have tried a little bit harder with it and, you know, raise the level of importance of it a little bit. And then the last thing is, and this was same about the previous FISM, but I just thought the schedule was silly. You know, it's silly that they have contestants competing at the same time that they have magic workshops, at the same time that they have magic shows and lectures. And, you know, magicians would do 2 lectures. So you're like, oh, phew, I can miss this one. But they would make them completely different. And it was just mayhem from 9 a.m. to midnight every day. There was a day where they started a gala show at midnight. And then, of course, the next day, things started at 9 a.m. with workshops and things like that. So overall, the schedule is a nightmare. And if it was me, what I would do is I would score the competitors earlier with a video or something and only have half the competitors competing. So shorten the watching of the competitions to 2-hour blocks instead of 4-hour blocks. And then with all of that extra time, put events into the calendar. You can have small events and big events and try not to run things at the same time, or if you do, tell the people who are doing them to do the exact same lecture or the exact same act that they're doing. It just felt like I attended a convention and I missed half of everything that was going on, because you always have to choose. Do I want to go to this show that's happening only once? Do I want to watch these competitors in this category? Or do I want to finally take a break because I've been sitting in chairs watching stuff? And the convention is long, man. It's like 6 days. I've never been to a magic convention that's 6 days long. So it was crazy that like after 3 days, I was like, we are half done, versus every other magic convention, the day 3, things are winding down and you're saying goodbye. So just, you know, a little bit draining overall, FISM is amazing. It's an incredible thing to attend. I probably will not be at the next one in Busan because I'm just tired of watching these competitors for hours and hours, and I go to a lot of other Magic conventions. I may end up at Blackpool or something like that, but I'll probably skip the one in Busan in 3 years, but who knows? It's 3 years away. So who knows at all about that. But FISM overall is fun. You should definitely go once in your life. But if I had it my way, I would really, most importantly, I would shorten the competitions by eliminating half of the people. And I know they're competing and trying, but shortening those days because they're really brutal to watch. I would figure out a way that what the audience feels counts in the vote, because it was really surprising that Leah Kyle didn't win. It was the upset of the convention, in my opinion. I would maybe make the convention a day or two shorter. Just my opinion. Maybe other people don't think that way. And then if they're adding categories like Street Magic or like Online Magic, then they should really honor them. Like even Street Magic, if you wanted to watch the Street Magic competition, you have to take a bus into town for like 40 minutes to the area that they're doing Street Magic and miss all of the things that are going on during the day. And otherwise, there was no way to watch it. They streamed it on TVs around the convention with no sound through Zoom, so you couldn't really watch what was going on there. And they just didn't give those new categories the honor that they deserved. So if I had it my way with FISM, I would pre-eliminate half of the competitors that score below a certain level with their act. I would fix the scheduling so it runs sort of like a normal Magic convention. I mean, I feel like only FISM and Blackpool run in this way where there's like a lot of stuff going on at once. But at Blackpool, I didn't feel like I missed stuff. If I wanted to go, I could go. So I would fix the schedule, and whatever categories they have, I would really honor those new categories. Other than that, I mean, I had an amazing time. I just wanted to let out some thoughts and feelings about it because it's a great convention, but this is the second FISM in a row where I leave it just kind of feeling drained, and usually I leave Magic conventions feeling pumped and thrilled and, really excited about the future. And obviously I had that feeling a little bit, but I just felt tired and drained and totally beat. Last thing I wanted to say is about what wins FISM, because I've now watched 2 FISMs, which I know is not a lot, but between 2 FISMs as well as knowing what all of the winners have done, I think there's a couple things that are really clear about what wins FISM, and hopefully this is advice for someone who's listening who is thinking of competing in the future. So, a couple things. Number one, most importantly, the act has to be clear. It has to be clear. And I know that's really obvious, but, like Vernon said, you have to be able to describe it in a sentence. Like, what happened in that act, right? That's the most important thing. If your act is unclear and you're trying to, play a character and he's fighting with himself and, then there's this thing and that thing that happens and it's just too confusing. It doesn't win over the audience. That's number one. Number two, you can't flash. I know it sounds obvious, but your sleight of hand has to be perfect if you're doing any, so you can't flash. Number three, I think it has to fool the audience and the judges. If it doesn't do that, if the audience and judges know how it works, then it's not going to win and it's not going to make a buzz at the convention. Ideally, it has to have multiple endings. So it ends, and then there's another thing that happens after that. I know that sounds like a weird specific thing, but all of the acts didn't end in the normal way. They ended, and then there was, an additional thing. They have to be packed to the brim with moments of magic. Like, there has to be a lot of magic in the act. It can't just be everything for one big result or 3 big predictions. Every single person doing magic, or felt like, 3/4 of the people, all of the magic that they were doing was basically them being confused as to what their props were doing. Like, why does the cards keep disappearing? Or why do the coins keep disappearing? Or whatever. So I think that era is done, maybe. And I think you should present your magic like you're actually in control of what's going on and not that you are baffled by the way that your props work and that your props function. So, I know this was a bit of a random episode, me saying stuff I love and that I didn't like, and some tips about competing, even though I've never competed, so take it all with a grain of salt. But I just wanted to share what I thought about FISM. Hopefully, this was helpful for you and insightful for you. And of course, the best part of FISM is all of the magicians that I got a chance to say, hey, can I interview you for the podcast? So I got a long list of incredible interviews coming up that I'm excited to share with all of you. We did not win the award for FISM, but A, we were still nominated, and B, I've been at this podcast for 9 years. I don't even know there was an award when it started, and the winning or not winning of the award ain't gonna stop me in any way, shape, or form. So, Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for listening. I hope this was a helpful, useful, interesting episode at the very least, and I will see you next Thursday.